Hello and welcome to Shelf-Induced Chaos with Elle. It is Wednesday. It is absolutely the weirdest weather I've ever experienced today. 4 seasons in a day up north here. I hope everyone is okay. I would have liked to have probably got this video out a little bit earlier than today, but Mr. Shelf-Induced Chaos is actually in London this week at a tech expo. So that means that I've been working full time, getting a lot of projects done, but also solo parenting our daughter and just trying to live life. The mums on here will understand exactly what I mean by that. So I'm here ready to talk. So let's make a start. So before I make a start on what our topic of discussion for today is, I just wanted to touch upon Quicksilver. I have just finished this one and I absolutely loved it. It was probably a 5-star read for me. What I will say about this book is a book hasn't given me the feeling that this has given me since the first time I would have read ACOTAR or perhaps Fourth Wing. I think I've been chasing that dopamine since those days, since reading those books, and I found it in this one. So well done, Callie Hart, and I can't wait for the next one. So today we are diving into a world where, in my opinion, every unhinged person on the internet eventually ends up, and that is the world of starting a podcast. So today we're going to talk about my favourite fictional characters, if they had a podcast, what those podcasts would be about, and most importantly, what they would be like. Because apparently being fictional wasn't enough, they now have thoughts and feelings, and frankly, I would listen to probably every single one of them. So grab your headphones, let's dive in, and let's talk about it. So let's make a start with Rowan and Sloane from Butcher and Blackbird, aka the most adorable psychopaths ever. Their podcast, Murder and Mimosas. Imagine a true crime podcast where the hosts do not just discuss serial killers, they are actively competing to be the best one. So I can just picture it now. Sloane, today's episode is about the most famous last words. Rowan, do you have a favourite? It has to be, for me, you won't actually do it, will you? And imagine the listeners. Half of the listeners are obsessed with the chemistry and the other half are literally just making notes to hand over to the police. Which then leads me on to our next one, My Dark Romeo. Romeo and Dallas launch Enemies to Airwaves, a relationship podcast that no one trusts. Each episode would probably have a really chaotic title, something like How to Gaslight, Gatekeep and Girl Boss Your Way into an Arranged Marriage. Dallas would be sitting there like, remember girls, you don't have to settle for red flags, you can thrive in them. In which Romeo would respond with something like, or if you trap them into a legally binding document. That's how love starts, isn't it, guys? Honestly, I think I would listen to this one. Now let's talk about Xaden and Violet from Fourth Wing, their podcast, Flight and Flames. And this podcast is basically a survival guide for anybody who thinks that joining a war college with a 90% fatality rate is a great idea. I would imagine Xaden would be like, welcome back everybody, today's topic, you've been thrown from a dragon, now what? Violet would be absolutely chaotic in this. Step 1, scream. Step 2, pray. Step 3, hope that your dragon actually likes you enough to catch you. Xaden would probably respond with something like, well, you'd have to let yourself fall from your dragon in order for that to happen. I personally wouldn't fall from my dragon in the first place. Violet would respond with something like, wow, thanks, that's so helpful. Honestly, it would be part motivational, part trauma bonding, and entirely unhinged. Next up, we have Zodiac Academy, aka the reason that therapy should be free. The Vega twins start a Surviving the Fae-Apocalypse podcast, which is ironically absolutely no help at all. Tori, step 1 to surviving Zodiac Academy. Don't trust any man with wings, Darcy would say, or dimples, and Tori would go back, or a tragic backstory. Meanwhile, the Celestial Heirs would definitely start up a rival podcast called Bully Energy, how to emotionally damage your crush in 10 steps. Moving on to Dante and Vivian from King of Wrath, aka the hosts of Red Flag Radio. Dante, welcome back listeners. Today's topic, how to control the narrative when you are clearly the villain and clearly the problem. Step 1, be hot. Step 2, be rich. And step 3, deny, deny, deny. Honestly, their advice would probably be absolutely terrible, but I would eat it up like the morally grey gremlin that I am. Yeah, definitely would. And finally, we have Rysand, or Reese, Razand, however you want to pronounce that, and his inner circle hosting Clown Corner. And I can only really see this podcast going one way. I think the whole group would just spend 1 hour a week absolutely gaslighting and roasting Farah about how they totally told her things. Cassian, this episode is brought to you by Definitely Mentioned It Enterprises. Asriel. Silence. Farah, so no one thought to tell me. Reese, oh no, we definitely told you. Amran, you just forgot. It's fine. And honestly, they could release bonus episodes of Nesta just being Nesta, and I would definitely listen to that as well. So there we have it, guys. If book characters had podcasts, we would all be listening to some pure nonsense, but we would all be absolutely listening. Let me know in the comments which one of those that you would listen to, or if you want to tell me a little bit about a podcast that you might have envisioned for one of your favourite book characters. I would absolutely love that too. In my next episode, I'm going to be talking about if classic books were set in 2025. If there's any that you want me to cover, please pop me a message in the comments below and I will be sure to have a think about them. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe and click the bell, because this is my podcast now and you're stuck with me. So until next time, stay chaotic, stay bookish and try not to start a podcast unless you're fictional. See you later everyone!